Jones from Tool raised his hand. He could actually play, he was actually good. So we were a band, and there were 3 bands in my high school, and there was a fierce competition. The good band was Destiny. They were beautiful men with beautiful hair, and they played the beautiful songs of the time, and they got laid like crazy. Then there was Epitaph, and those were the bad boys. They played, AC/DC and Black Sabbath, and they weren't going to play any stupid high school dances. But when you saw them in the hallway, you both feared them and you respected them. And then there was my band, the Drama Club band, the Electric Sheep. That was my band. So we didn't know how to play anybody else's songs because we didn't have the talent to do it. But there was like a talent show about the 60s coming up, and we decided to get up our gumption to audition for that show. And this was going to be like my first show ever. So we go to the audition and we play one of our original songs, and the guy who's running the theater says, "That's great, but can you guys play cover songs?" And before any of my idiot bandmates open their mouths, because we can't play cover songs, I say, "Of course we can." He says, you've got 6 months to learn Born to Be Wild by Steppenwolf. I'm like, that'll be no problem, knowing there's no possible way we could ever learn Steppenwolf, Born to Be Wild in 6 months. So the rehearsals are going very, very poorly. One of the Destiny guys, the guitar player, he's very, very handsome, and he's a human jukebox. And we're at rehearsal, and there's on this side of the stage is John Pericello from Destiny, and he's surrounded by every attractive girl in the school, and they're shouting out songs by Bread and REO Speedwagon, and he knows them all, and they're swooning. On this side of the stage are me and Adam Jones, and we still don't know how to tune the guitar. And so he's over here like, heard it from a friend who, and we're over here like, bow, bow, looking over. So the night of the show comes, and we still don't really know our song. So Destiny plays, and of course, people enjoy them, and they're soft rock hits. And we come on stage, and we begin this, there's like a riser, I'm on a riser. We begin the set, and the keyboard player comes in with the wrong chord. And Adam, bless his heart, he's one of the greatest guitar players on the planet, but he's the bass player, and he comes in with the wrong bass note. And I'm not playing very, very, very well, and I feel that it's a dire situation. But I feel something else as well. On the one hand, it seems like we're failing. On the one hand, it seems like we're overmatched by the competition. On the other hand, I feel the spirit of rock and roll rising within me. And I'm like, I can't play this fucking guitar, but I can jump off the fucking stage. And so when the chorus of Born to Be Wild comes in, and I wish I could show you a picture, like my orthopedic situation's different, but like at 17, I had hops. I made this massive, like sort of Eddie Van Halen jump up, and the roof came off the fucking high school. And we couldn't play a note right, but we destroyed Destiny on that night, and I thought to myself, I'm in this for the rest of my life. That's my first rock and roll show. All right, then later on, I was in a band called Rage Against the Machine. Perhaps you've heard of it. Yeah. We had a lot of adventures, but one of our most exciting adventures was when we shot a video for a song called Sleep Now in the Fire. Michael Moore was the director of that, and I was a big fan of his movies and his TV shows. I'd never met him before, and I had one question I could not wait to ask him when I saw him in the trailer backstage. I said, Mike, how many times have you been arrested? Like you're all like your balls, you're always doing the crazy stuff. He's like, I've never been arrested. And I jokingly said, well, you've never worked with Rage Against the Machine. So what happens is we have the video's going to be a live performance on the steps of the Federal Building in Wall Street. It's kitty corner from the New York Stock Exchange. We have a permit to film on the Federal Building steps. We do not have a permit to film on the city sidewalk. Now, Michael Moore is a great director. He's a director of few words. And he said this is his directorial edict to the band. He says, no matter what happens, don't stop playing. Okay, cool. So now I'm going to burst your bubble. Some of those you may be unfamiliar with the way that like videos happen and stuff. When a band is shooting a video, they're not really playing the song. There's like playback, like the CD is playing or whatever, MP3 is playing through the speakers, and they're miming along. This is important later. So there we are on the steps. Sleep Down the Fire is cranking. We're miming along to it. Day traders are walking by. Incredibly, one of the signs that Mike, in 1999, one of the signs that Mike made for that video, it said Trump for President 2000. So we take responsibility, and I apologize. So totally fine. It all worked. we share some responsibility for that. So anyway, so people are walking by, and we're playing on the federal steps, and then Mike says, now we're going to go down the sidewalk where we do not have a permit to play. So we go down the sidewalk, Sleep Now the Fire's roaring out of the speakers on the CD there, and the New York City police sergeant comes up to me and says, sir, you got to get back on the steps. You don't have a permit for here. And I remember what Mike said. He said, no matter what happens, don't stop playing. So I continue. And now the cops, he's like, get back on the steps. You don't have a permit for here. Back on the steps. And I don't know, if any of you have had this, I've had a number of run-ins with the law. There's like a vein in cops' necks. And when you see the vein, you know you're in a special place, right? And the vein is bulging. And he's like, get back on the fucking steps. You don't have a permit for it. Get back on the fucking steps right now. He is so pissed, and he sees the defiance in me and the band, that he does the one thing that he is certain is going to bring this whole thing to a crashing end. He reaches over and he unplugs my guitar. And the music keeps playing. And he has a look of religious awe on his face. He's like, that dude's a fucking warlock. There's no law of physics that says he can be with that thing. He unplugs Timmy's bass. The volume is undiminished. He takes Brad's drumsticks away, and the band is just, the music is rocking, and we're still standing on the fucking sidewalk. And he's like, and he looks at the three of us, and he's like, you know he's got to arrest somebody. And he's like, I ain't arresting the fucking warlock. So he arrests Michael Moore. It's all in the video. You see it in the video. So Michael Moore, for the first time ever in his career, is dragged off in chains. But before he's dragged off, he delivers his second directorial edict of the afternoon, which is, take the New York Stock Exchange. And I'm like, Mike, that wasn't in the video treatment, but in for a penny, in for a pound, here we go. So we put our guitars down, which are still playing, and we go kitty corner to the New York Stock Exchange, and I'm the first one through the door. This is all YouTube checkable, this is all in the video. So I'm the first one through the door, and there's this poor guy there, and he's like, I'm sure he's making minimum wage, he's the security guard, his jacket is buttoned wrong, and I'm like, I'm here to take the New York Stock Exchange. Is that a right or a left? And he hits like the riot button, and security guards come in like the full riot crew. They push us out of the building. The ironclad doors come down, and for the only time in the 100+ year history of the New York Stock Exchange, capitalism came to a grinding halt on a Tuesday afternoon thanks to Sleep Now the Fire. All right. But after that, I was in a band called Audio Slaves. Anybody heard of that? All right. Tomorrow is a sad occasion. It's the 2-year anniversary of the passing of Chris Cornell. I loved him very much, and if you loved him, make some noise, please. He was a beautiful soul and a beautiful singer, but the beginning of our relationship had some bumps in it. So Rage broke up in 2000, and me and Tim and Brad really wanted to play together. We were spending a lot of time over at Rick Rubin's house. We knew we wanted him to make the next record, listening to different singers and different rappers, trying to figure out what it was we were going to do. So the record we kept coming back to was Bad Motorfinger by Soundgarden. And we were just like, that dude just can fucking sing, and the lyrics are dark. It's this kind of dark, beautiful, and kind of scary poetry. Like, listening to the record, we really got into that record deep. We're a little afraid of this guy, but we want to meet this guy. So me and Rick drive up to, Chris was living in a place called Ojai. It's about an hour outside of Los Angeles. Now, Rick's fancy. He's one of the greatest producers of all time, but he didn't go anywhere. And he certainly doesn't drive to Ojai in my 1985 Chevrolet Astro van. So if he goes anywhere, it's in a Rolls Royce that's inside another Rolls Royce. Like that's kind of how it is. But he's committed to the project, so he's going to do this. So we drive up to Ojai, and it's about dusk, and we're getting there, and it's a little bit dark out. And Chris lives down the last one, the top of the spookiest hill on the last winding road in Ojai, and the sun is setting. And we pull into the driveway, and it's kind of like this kind of Spanish sort of castle. There's this long stairway, there's some motorcycles out in front. We pull in my van, and Rick and I are looking at the front door, and full on Addams Family, I swear to you. The door opens like without somebody opening it, and Chris was 6'2", 6'3". His lanky, Dracula-like form comes out the door and begins walking slowly down the steps. And Rick Rubin turns to me and goes, "Let's get the fuck out of here." Like, this might be a great band, but my soul is in jeopardy tonight. So the good news is we didn't chicken out. We stayed there, and we had a conversation with Chris Cornell, which led to the band Audio Slave. And let me just tell you that Chris was one of the most open-hearted and generous people. Whenever I said, "Hey Chris, I've got this idea for this charity thing. I've got this idea to help these people, whether they're in Cleveland or whether they're in Honduras," he was always the first one to step up and say, "I want us to do that thing." So let's hear it for Chris, and thank you very much. And continue to celebrate his memory and enjoy his awesome music for the rest of all time. All right. So lastly, recently I got like an ambassador for the ACLU, which is weird because ambassador and rock and roll and punk rock guitar player. It's a long way from the electric sheep, but it's weird. It's totally cool. But the funny thing is with the ACLU, like at the same time that I formed my band in high school, I ran into the ACLU. I was working on the high school newspaper. It was called Drops of Ink, and there were a lot of stories. They were encouraging me to write stories about prom and about like the football game, and we wanted to write stories about like apartheid in South Africa and U.S. sponsored death squads in Central America, and the plain fact that the dean of students was a fucking prick. Like, those are the stories that we wanted to write. And like, you can't do that in this paper. So we formed an underground paper called the Student Pulse. We passed it out in the hallways of our school, and it was fun. Adam Jones was actually he was the illustrator. He was super funny, and his cartoons were hard R rated, like super hard R rated. And we wrote the stories we wanted to write. We said that the dean was a dick, and the school said, "You can't pass those out in this high school." And we're like, "Are you sure?" And they're like, "No, absolutely not." So we were 16, 17 years old, we called up the Chicago American Civil Liberties Union. We said, "Can we pass out newspapers in our high school?" And they said, "The First Amendment applies to everybody, and that's even you." So at 16 years old, me and some of my friends, we sat in the principal's conference office with an ACLU attorney and the administration, and we taught those motherfuckers a civics lesson they will never forget. And for 2 years, we put that paper out. We said what we said, and the lesson there is that the world is not going to change itself. And whenever there has been progressive, radical, or even revolutionary change in the world, it has been created by people who are no different than anyone at this festival. People who didn't have any more intelligence, courage, power, access to anything than the people in this room today. That's how the world changes. You stand up, you fucking change it to make it more humane and make it more decent. Thank you very much for your time today. See you next time.
One more time for Tom Morello, everybody. Set.